Today is May 28th, 2014, and we are interviewing Greg Koch at the Illinois State Library.
Glenn.
I'm sorry, Glenn Koch at the Illinois State Library. Mr. Koch is 83 years old and having been born on November 17th, 1930. My name is Jennifer Cifaldi, and I'll be the interviewer. Mr. Koch, could you please state for the recording what war and branch of service you served in?
I was in the Korean War, even before the war started, and I was in the United States Air Force.
Okay, and what was your rank?
At the end, I was Staff Sergeant.
Where did you serve?
I served in Biloxi, Mississippi, and Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida for about 3 years, and the last year I went to Korea. And
So you were in Korea?
I was in Korea.
And did you get immersed in the culture where you were stationed?
A little bit, yeah. You got to know some of the people there. They were North Koreans, refugees from North Korea on the island where I was at.
Okay. What, if any, mementos did you bring back with you?
Just pictures, I guess. That was the main thing.
Pictures?
And then that's about all I have.
And those were some of the pictures you had
Yes,
with you today. What was your job or your assignment?
We're on radar maintenance. We're early warning radar maintenance. So.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Our objective of our radar was to detect planes coming in and to direct our planes to intercept the MiG fighters.
Okay. Did you see combat?
I guess you might. They were used to shell us, so if you call that combat, so I know what whistling shrapnel sounds like.
That sounds like combat, yeah. Were there any casualties in your unit?
Not exactly. Besides the Air Force, there was some Korean Marines that protected us. We had United States Army anti-aircraft guys to ward off the planes and shoot anti-aircraft people. We also had rescue helicopters out in that area, and that was the main thing. So that was with us. So.
Okay. Then you didn't sustain any injuries?
No, I didn't. They issued us. I was surprised. I joined the Air Force, and I didn't expect to be in a combat zone at all. But we got there, and we got all the Army equipment and ready to go.
Okay. And so then were you a prisoner of war?
No, I was not. No.
Okay. Do you want to share any of your experiences? Oh, I'm sorry, that wouldn't apply. Let me move to the next one. Were you awarded any medals or citations?
Nothing outstanding, no. They gave us some medals, but I forget what they were. No, nothing. I think medals that about everyone got just for being there.
For serving.
Just for serving, yeah.
Right. And can you share any battle planning with us or anything about your activities?
Well, on April 5th, 1953, they started shelling us. It was on Easter Sunday morning. And we were surprised. We couldn't understand when during the early spring of 1953, they were shooting shells at us, but over on the island, but they weren't at us. They were, I don't know what they were doing. I guess maybe they were zeroing the guns in or something. It was on Easter Sunday morning. They began shooting at us, and they were plunking those shells right in where we were, and they knocked up some of our equipment. But luckily, the major part wasn't destroyed, so I was on the night shift, and we'd come home, and I just ate breakfast, and all once those shells started coming in, and the other guys that were with me, and I thought, I think maybe we ought to get out to the point, and see if we can help. I don't know what we're going to do, but had to go over the mountain, climb over the mountain, over Calm Hill. And we got going up there, and then some of the anti-aircraft guys, they kept saying, "Get down, get down, get down." But I thought, well, how can you get down and get up there? So we just kept on going, and luckily when I got up to the top of the hill, one of the guys come running out and said, "Our radar's off, our radar's off." And well, what happened was some of the shells had landed pretty close to the power truck, and it vibrated it so much that it knocked it out. And luckily I could go in there and recycle it and got the radar back on again, the old SCR-270. It was the only one that kept going during the fight. So that was kind of a, you want to call it the highlight of the.
I imagine that was scary. So no one got hurt out of that
No,
event?
we didn't. No.
Okay, good. Now we're going to talk about just some more personal information. How did you get along with the other officers and your fellow soldiers?
I think I got along pretty well. We were all up there and had to do our job, and we got along pretty well, I guess.
Okay.
So.
Did you feel pressure, stress, or anxiety?
Well, that was a long winter. It was cold. We were sleeping in a tent. I got up there about 1st December. And one other thing the problem we had was what we call bed check Charlie. He would come in, it was a double wing plane. He would come in at night and try to bomb where our fuel dump, our barrels of fuel were, right kind of near where our camp was. Mm-hmm. And because he would come in, maybe after 12 o'clock at night and call him bed check Charlie, because then they'd pick him up on the radar, and then they'd give the sign. And I just happened that I had a phone in my tent, and the phone would ring, and bed check Charlie's coming in or something to that effect. And I'd go out and yell out over the compound and go red, go red. And, mm-hmm. And then we get in our holes and wait a while until it was over. And then.
So that meant take cover?
Take cover, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Take cover, yeah.
So any other pressure, stress, or anxiety that you felt during your time there?
No, mostly just taking care of yourself in the cold. It was cold there. But luckily we had warm jackets. We had mm-hmm. parkas.
How cold was it?
See, being on an island, it was always the windy. It was about like here in Illinois. It's about the same degree north as Illinois is. And I don't think it got below 10 degrees, but there was a wind. There was always that wind blowing, mm-hmm. and the tent was flopping, and the tent was pretty. You didn't have much heat in there. We had pot burners, oil things that when we're off duty, we'd huddle around that stove and try to keep warm. But then on duty, it wasn't bad. We had a Quonset hut to get into.
What's that?
Oh, well, these are round metal huts. Well, you see them out in the country here, farmers use them sometime, for buildings. That was a common thing back then. And that was something easy to put up for protection,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
can you tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences?
I think I just told you the one. Going up that mountain, trying to get the radar. Although there was one shell coming pretty close to me, but thankfully when the shells hit, if they hit in the soil, they just kind of blew up in a cone. But then if they hit on the rock, then they splattered out. So luckily, the ones come near me didn't hit on a rock. So.
How close was it?
I don't know, about 25 feet away or something like
Too
that.
close.
Close
Too
enough.
close, huh? Were you able to stay in touch with your family during your time there?
I wrote letters, and we got the communication was a plane. The way we got there, we flew up on a plane from Sewell City Air Base, and it was about 125 miles. And when the tide was out, the plane would land. on the beach. And so they come up about once a week or thereabout, and that's where a mail come in, and maybe some fresh veg, some food. Most of our food came in on the LSTs. So, but so just the mail call. That was it. That was communication. So
And then your family would write you back
yeah,
and
yeah.
back and forth. So did you or do you have anything special for good luck that you had with you there or that you keep now? Anything
No,
like that?
no.
No lucky rabbit's
No.
foot or your dog tags or
No,
anything like
no,
that?
just God.
God's the best kind. That's right. Did you have plenty of supplies?
Um, Generally, well, the um, the food supplies were sea rations. They weren't very great, you know. We were a lot of them were tin cans out of some of them were dated 1942. They still had some old sea rations from 1942. We were eating up there.
Oh,
They were all right. I mean, as they were probably good as they were back in World War II, I suppose. And it's when the ice from the Chongchon River came out into the ocean, it piled up on the beaches. We could not get LSTs in, and certainly airplanes couldn't get in. So they were parachuting in food to us, and we were blessed in a way. We were getting better food from parachutes than we had been before. We even got
yeah.
some turkey up there. So
What did LST
a
keep?
landing ship tank.
Okay.
Landing ship tank.
So what would you describe the food like? I mean, was it?
It was pretty blonde. We get potatoes. That were powdered potatoes. They mixed them up. We had a lot of canned tomatoes, powdered eggs, and of course we had coffee. And we drank our coffee out of a tin cup, an aluminum cup. And I always stuck. You could not drink hot coffee because if you had an aluminum cup, it would burn your lips before the coffee was cool enough, off enough to drink. So
Yeah. Anything else about the food that you can think of?
that's all I can think of. It was pretty simple,
Mhm.
but we lived.
It sustained you, huh? How did you entertain yourself?
Uh, Mostly around the campfire. I mean, not the stove. We'd just get together and talk, and we'd get it up around the stove and talk. And one thing we got was 101 rations, and I didn't smoke normally. And the guys they'd give cigarettes to the guys that smoked, but I didn't smoke, so I used the cigarettes. I would trade them to the Koreans to get my clothes washed.
Oh,
And that was a common thing. And then some of them, they'd have tobacco, Prince Albert tobacco. So I thought, well, I carved myself a pipe out of a piece of wood, and I only got a toothbrush. I drilled a hole through the toothbrush, and made a stem, and I smoked a pipe for a while.
smoked a pipe, huh? So when you said you would sit around the stove and
Yeah.
just visit or tell
Yeah,
stories?
just talk about it. Yeah.
Mhm. Were there any entertainers that came to see you at your units?
No.
No Marilyn Monroe, nobody like that?
What's the guy that used to?
Bob Hope?
Bob Hope. No Bob Hopes up
No
there.
Bob Hope, huh? Well, what did you do when you were on leave?
Oh, we did get a chance to go to Korea. I mean, Japan. We got back and went to Tokyo for a while and bought some souvenirs and came back up there. And that one picture you show of the plane laying upside down, that I probably wouldn't have been there except I had just flown back from Korea, or the base. The base was down at Seoul City, the air base, and 608 AC and W squadron. Now we were on detachment. Detachment 2. detachment. We had Detachment 1 and Detachment 2. Detachment 1 was on Pangyangdo, and we were on Detachment 2 up on Chodo. So, and that was called K54. They had locations, K numbers. K54 was Chodo, and K53 is Pangyangdo. So, that's all I knew about it.
Mhm. How long was your leave? You were talking about going to Japan.
I don't know if it was 10 days or something like that. I'm not sure. It took a while just to get there,
Mhm.
fly back to Seoul City and then fly over Japan and then be there a while and just fly back. And I don't remember exactly.
Other than that, did you travel while you were in the service?
No, well, 3 years before that, I was down in Florida, Mississippi and Florida. I'd come home on leaves, So,
So that was before the war started?
well, no, it was during the war. I was in the training command, Air Force Training Command down at Tyndall Field for about 3 years before that.
Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual event at all from your service? Anything that stands out?
I can't think of any. There might have been. Oh, one thing is kind of funny. I tell this to my daughter. We had a dog over on Shodo, and we called him King. And he would sit on top of a bunker and survey his territory. I'm king. He looked like I'm king. But he liked the GIs, but he didn't like Koreans. And you know why he didn't like Koreans? They ate dog, see?
Oh,
And I guess he could smell it on.
you think so,
So,
huh? What kind of dog was it?
I don't know, big old mud,
Yeah.
shaggy dog. I don't know.
So everybody just kind of adopted him in?
Yeah, he was kind of everybody was our friend.
Yeah. Did he go with anyone in particular when you
I don't know.
left?
I often wonder what happened to old King when we evacuated. I don't think I didn't see him on the ship, so I don't know. Maybe he got left there. I don't
That
know.
wouldn't be good, huh? What about any types of pranks or anything that you guys would pull on each other? Any kind of fun stuff like that you can recall?
Oh,
Things you did to keep things lively? Any kind of jokes or pranks?
no, I can't really think of anything particular. I can't really think anything. We got along okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I got mad at one guy. He was I hadn't been there but shortly, and we had Korean boys to watch our tent, kind of clean it, because there were thefts. The Koreans would steal things,
Mm-hmm.
and so you had to have somebody watch your tent. Excuse me, so you didn't nobody stole things. And there's one guy, he would really chew out this Korean boy, and I got after him. I said, he's just a kid. He's just a kid, a teenager. Lay off, But he gave him a hard time. I just remember that.
Was it that the boy was stealing from the tents?
I don't think this guy. I know another guy stole things. We had this Korean boy. His name is Kim. We call him, say, Kim. Not Kim, Gim. My name is Gim, not Kim.
Okay. How about photos? I saw you have a photo album. Is there any photos in there that you would like to share and tell us about? You want to get a few of those out and tell us about them?
I guess I did the highlights, but on this other sheet here, I can't think of really. I guess the main ones I guess were, if you want to see the ice, when the ice came in. I don't, I can't really pick out any particular one. It just kind of tells a story of where we were. And
Well, go ahead if you'd like to.
well,
If there's one that you can either hold up for the camera or if you, I don't know if those remove out of there without tearing too
I
easily.
guess she's going to take a picture of those things.
Mm-hmm.
None of those are really outstanding. It's just particular ones of the troops. Some of the guys were with. Here I was when we were doing maintenance on the radar, and some of the crew back in the maintenance shack, and this is the crew. This is pretty much the crew that we maintained the radar with, and that was.
Here, maybe we can hold that right up here. See if it'll do that without the big glare. There's a picture of it. So that was your group?
That was our group that we took care of it.
And you were in that picture there?
Oh, no, I took the picture.
Oh, you took the picture. Well, somebody's got to take the picture. So you've kept all these photos all along. Did you put them back in a book way back then? Or?
Yeah, I put them in a book about, I don't know, about a year after I got home. So.
Any other particular photos in there that stand out or create a story for you to share? Do you have any pictures of the dog?
No, I didn't have any pictures of the dog. I guess I didn't think of that. One of the pictures, when I was on the way home, I think I got this in Japan, and it showed the Stars and Stripes. It had a picture of the radar men, and it got written up in Stars and Stripes.
And that was you? You were one of the radar men?
Yeah, I was one of the guys.
Oh, that's neat. Okay. Anything else in there you'd like to share with us?
I guess that's about it. I can't think of it.
You want to explain what that paper is that you brought along there?
Okay, this picture here is the picture of Korea, and it showed where we were. We had to fly. We flew from Seoul around the western peninsula there up to Chodo, which was really we probably weren't too far from Pyongyang, North Korea. There's kind of a river come out through there. We didn't. And we were 5 miles offshore from the mainland. And as I told you before, Bedcheck Charlie used to fly out there and try to bomb us. And unluckily one night, after the winter was kind of getting over about this time of year, maybe a little earlier, we had to black out, keep our tents black and everything. We got careless. He quit coming during that cold weather, and we let all our tents open in the spring of the year. A nice warm evening, he come in and bombed and dropped a shell. A couple of the anti-aircraft guys were killed. So we got careless, and that's what happened.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
But I didn't know those fellows personally.
And they were the ones that were kind of protecting you all?
Yeah, from the anti-aircraft people, yeah. That was the Army.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about the discharge and post-war times, if you don't mind. Do you recall the day that your service ended?
I can't remember the exact day. We're supposed to have gotten out early. I was a 4-year enlistment, November 9th, I think, of 1949. Of course, the war started in 1950. And when we were in Korea, they told us we were going to get out early. Well, there was a mix-up. We came home and we landed in Seattle, Washington, and then I went down to Scott Air Force Base near St. Louis, and we were supposed to have been discharged. But somehow the orders got mixed up, and we stayed there and stayed there and stayed there. And I ended up, I only got out 2 weeks early from the Air Force. So
you were at Scott Air Force Base when you were
Scott
discharged?
Air Force, yeah.
And at that point, was the war over?
Oh, yes. The truce had been signed, and then before July. So that was all up into almost November. Latter October, so July, August, September, almost 3 months after it was over, I was still in the service. So,
was that because it was still part of your 4-year term?
Well, yeah, it was, well, during the time it just took to get, just to get back from Chodo, and then we went down to Pangyangdo, which was below the 38th parallel. And we were there for a period of time, and then they got us back to the mainland, and then from there we were there a while, and then we flew back to Japan and got processed and put on a ship and again, and came back home in Seattle, Washington, and I remember the train ride back home to came through Milwaukee and then on down here to Quincy, and uh, my parents picked me up over on the other side of the river here. So
Long way home, huh?
yeah.
So were others discharged with you
Oh yeah, there's a number of guys discharged.
from your same unit?
Well, see, yeah, that's they were the Air Force is different than the Army. You don't travel in units. You just kind of travel as individuals, and you go some here, some there, and that's the way it works. So I didn't really have any people in my unit. The unit in Korea, I was not in that anymore. So it would just come home as an individual person.
So what did you do in the days and weeks that followed your discharge?
Well, that fall, I lived with my parents out here in Liberty, and I helped painted the barn, and then let's see, that was then first of the year I went up to Milwaukee and Milwaukee School of Engineering, continued my education. I had already started 1 year college at the University of Illinois, and then I continued my engineering college, and I got my associate's degree up in Milwaukee School of Engineering.
Okay. So did you use like a GI Bill to get your
Yes,
education?
I used a GI Bill.
Did you make any close friendships while you were in the service?
Yeah, I guess you got know some guys from. I knew one guy from Milwaukee, and another fellow, Boyd Kime, here is from Quincy. I knew him, talked with him, but then after that, we parted our ways. I never did see what happened to it or where he went to. He's not in the phone book here in Quincy, so
So you don't have any
I don't have any connection with him.
connections with any of them anymore?
No, I don't.
Do you attend any reunions or anything?
No, I
or-
haven't. I guess I haven't been active in VA and the veterans organizations.
And that was my next question. Right off the list. Did you join a veterans organization? So no.
Yeah.
How has your service and experiences affected your life?
I think it helped. My mother was greatly against me joining the service, and but I was a mild little meek little kid, not outgoing, and it forces you to do things that you normally wouldn't do. As I see it, you learn to get on buses, get on trains, go to places you've never been to before, and
Get out of your comfort zone a
get
little
out of
bit?
your comfort zone. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So I think it was good for me to do that. It was kind of a growing up area, and while I was up in Korea, it just kind of dawned on me, and I looked around. I thought, look at all these young guys, 22 years old, maybe I was older than some of the others, doing things, taking responsibility. I just thought, well, that's interesting. I just thought to myself, what was happening up there?
Mhm.
You were doing things that on your own, you had to do it.
So it helped you grow up
Oh,
and
I think
mature?
so.
Mhm.
I think it did.
Has anyone ever thanked you for serving our country?
Well, maybe somebody on the street or something. So somebody say thank you. I go to Hy-Vee and they get a free breakfast.
I got to take advantage of those, huh? Because you said how your mom felt. Did your dad feel that way too?
He didn't say too much. Mom didn't want me to go, and she thought she could talk me out of it. But really, the way it happened was there wasn't much work around here at Quincy, and I'd gone to University of Illinois and come back, and I was all out of money. And a friend of mine was working up at Moline, Illinois. He said, "Come up here, you can get a job." So I was up there for living in Moline, Illinois, in a rooming house, you know, and it didn't have any heat in it, and you know, eating in restaurants and stuff like that. And it was getting kind of old. I didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, I was walking down the street and heard this car pulls up and honks his horn at me, and it turned out it was a recruiting sergeant. And he talked to me, and I went, come down to the office. And I was telling him what I was hoping to do, you know, and get some education, be an engineer. And, well, join the Air Force. You get paid while you're doing it. So,
Uh-huh.
and I talked to my mom about it. No, don't do that, don't do that. But I did it anyhow.
Mm-hmm. So when people have thanked you for your service, how does that make you feel?
Oh, I like it. I guess it it when I come home, I kind of thought, well, nobody, there's no bands, no nothing. You just come home.
Mm-hmm.
It's it just started a different part of your life. And I was looking forward to going up to college at Milwaukee School of Engineering.
Good.
So
Okay. Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or military in general?
I was kind of after that. See, the communism was a big thing back then. You know, spread of communism. I'm kind of a history junkie. I read history. I mean, I read news all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Follow things, and I get upset about some things and what's going on now. And back then it was ever communism and so forth, and now it's something else. And yeah, it's the Iraq War and what have you, and that sort of thing. So
Would you encourage young men and women to enlist today?
I think it's a challenge. I think it can be a learning experience. I wouldn't want to do a career. I have a son who was a career man, and he retired from the Air Force. He's a jet mechanic. So
Okay. Is your view of government the same before and after your years of service? Did that change at all?
I really didn't know much about government before I went in.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm not very happy with government right now, but it's maybe I should not worry about it too much. I look back and think I used to fume about communism and stuff like that back in those days, and I thought, well, that has passed, and this will probably pass too. You know what's going on now.
How do you feel about how war is depicted in movies?
Oh, I haven't seen any movies lately. It's kind of, I imagine I never did have to fight from a trench, so I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no judge of that. So
Hard to say.
yeah, I've jumped in foxholes when shells are coming in, but I wasn't shooting over having defend myself with a gun. So
you're not really in a position to
no, I'm not in a
say if
position
it's
to talk.
accurate?
I'm not in a position to judge that.
Okay, that's fair. What is your opinion of war or history, how it's taught in the schools today?
I hear it isn't. This is all hearsay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing that history isn't being taught. A lot of things are left out and being skewed. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. That's what I've been taught, and I think it's a shame what's happening.
Okay.
But I see these interviews on O'Reilly and places like that, and people ask about different things of world things, and they're oblivious of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
All they know about Dancing with Stars or something. That's their mentality.
Yeah. So what is the most positive thing that you took away from your experience in the service?
I guess confidence in myself or something like that.
The maturity you talked about?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
So
What about the most negative?
The Air Force back then was not, what shall I say? We weren't strict military men. It's semi-civilian. And there was a lot of um, complaining and so forth, and lack of discipline, as far as I was concerned
Mhm.
back then. So I don't know how it is now.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything else you can think of to comment on?
No, not I can think of too much. I just wonder, every now and then I think about some of the people in North Koreans. They're probably, some of them are dead by now. They transferred back to South Korea. And every now and then I think about it. Wonder what they're doing.
Okay. Anything else?
I guess that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you.